your self-care needs change.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you talked about the kids a lot too. Well, once those kids get older, like my son's 19 now, and it's like I have like this time on my hand in another area, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing what I did just 3 months ago, you know? So that self-care is gonna look different.
Yeah, we're in the same season with
Right?
that because
We
our
are.
youngest
And
are.
I'm taking it all in too. Like, I'm
Yes, me
pouring in,
too.
like, more, where I felt like, I had to shift those self-care responsibilities where, I'm learning now. I'm like, "Okay, well, it's kinda quiet over here now that I'm not responsible for this, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more self-care, to my package." So, it looks different. Like you said, the older we get, it changes. Seasons change, people change, our needs change, and that's okay.
Yep.
We just have, again, knowing yourself, you'll know, in what season you need to change and
Because
shift
if
some
things
things
aren't
around.
working, I always say that,
Right.
like if something's not
Yeah.
working, you got to change it.
Yeah.
So, and that comes to, with our self-care packages, how they look. Like, it's funny because you and I are in that same boat with
Yep.
our youngest are now like out, in college or out of high school.
Yep.
So it's like, we're not really responsible for little people anymore. So, and for me, like what I've been doing is kind of like shifting a lot of that responsibility to my 18-year-old. I'm like, all right, you know what? Mom used to be like, I was always, taking her everywhere, making sure everything was good with school, making sure this was done. I'm like, you know what? There's a number for that. Google it. Google it. Like, call your school,
Yeah.
call whatever. Cause I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a little selfish. So right now, like I'm a little bit of my selfish, like, because I'm like, I want some of that responsibility not on myself anymore.
Absolutely.
And although, I have my husband, like he wasn't the biological father of him. So like I felt in a sense I've been a single parent because of my two kids, because they've been only dependent on me, like solely dependent on me. And it did drain me. And I noticed that like as this time was like, as my daughter was shifting out of high school, I'm like, man, this drained me being like 100% responsible for my kids because I didn't have that support system, and it has drained me. So I'm like, now it's time. Like I have to mentally check out of that,
and replenish.
So it's time for me to replenish.
Yeah. I like that.
I need to replenish.
She needs to be hydrated.
I need to be hydrated. and you know what? You're right. Speaking of changing seasons, like I probably need to adjust my self-care now.
Yeah.
Like I haven't
You need a new
adjusted.
package.
I need a new package.
Yeah.
TJ, you're going to have to tell me, what is my package going to look like now? I got to figure that out.
More of what you want it to look like.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's too, because I think sometimes when people, self-care, like when you just think of the word self-care, for some people they cringe. They cringe. They're like, I don't have self-care. But sometimes we can have self-care. We're doing self-care and not even realizing it. Sometimes we are, and we're not really realizing it. And of course, we have to be, let's be more aware. But so I would say for people who struggle with just even hearing the word self-care, there are some things that you're already doing. You just need to be, maybe it needs to be more intentional or more consistent. But you're already doing some of those things. And again, it's not just, taking a long bubble bath. That's part of it. That does help, because I know I cleaned like over the weekend and my body was like, ugh. So all I wanted was a long bath, like nice soft music, nice candles, and a bath. And that helped. But that's not, all what self-care is. You know what I mean? Self-care is, again, taking care of that mental part, that physical part, that spiritual part, or whatever parts that are important to you that that's important for you to show up in.
Yeah.
So, but don't let the word self-care scare you.
Yeah.
And
just think, and too, you made a good point, like it's mind, body, and spirit. So which you may be doing really good with your mind and body, but what about your spirit?
Right.
Or you may be really good with your spirit, but what about your mind?
Right.
So that is really true too, because I know that sometimes I lack in some areas and I'm like, okay, I haven't really focused more on my spiritual. So I really need to work on that. Or, okay, I've been letting my body go, a little bit, or I'm not eating right or something, and I'm like, okay, I got to shift. So.
Right. It's called and you said something, I thought about this and I actually visualized it. Self-care chart. And if you take just a little, like a square, and you, of course, put it in 4 parts, and you can put those little, like your spirit, mind, body, soul in those parts, and then look at those 4 parts and say, okay, where am I showing up the best as it relates to however you want to show up? And then what area do I feel depleted in? Because if you see it,
Ooh,
right?
yeah, that
In the
visual.
paper, right?
Mhm.
If you see it, then it may help you to, start to replenish in that area. Like if you look at the spiritual aspects of it or emotional or spiritual aspects of it, you're like, you know what? I really haven't really been like meditating, or I really
Yep.
haven't showed up in this space for a while. I really need to get back to that. Because that happened to me at one
Oh,
point.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I was so focused on all the other things like work, the kids, the husband, making
Mhm.
sure the house is clean, making sure dinner's on the stove. And my spirituality was like tanking. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I didn't feel that connection. And that's
Mhm.
important too, feeling that connection in all
Yes.
the areas of your self-care. And so I was like, nope, I gotta take time and I have to focus here, because out of the I always call it like, to make 100%, you got every area is 25%. So
Mhm.
that 25% of my spirituality is like at like 5%. So what do I need to do to get that back to where it needs to be? Well, I need to focus. I need to read more, and put those things back into me.
I like
You know what
that.
I mean?
And I like that you put it like that. I think other people can think about that, like putting it as a visual,
Mm-hmm.
the four quadrants. I like
Right.
that a lot.
Quadrants. That's it.
Yes, I like it.